my grandfather is Ernest Hemingway, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century. And all that creativity and all that amazing, heritage came with a load of stuff that really wasn't mine. So my journey early on was really about like, what path can I take that so that I don't have to end up like my family. So I won't be depressed. I won't drink too much. I won't do things too much, whatever. And that's not judgment of the people that did that. It was just, I thought, how can I survive this without going down their path?
Welcome back to another episode of the Live Free Lifestyle podcast. I am your host, Leah Brathwaite, and I am so excited to share today's guest with you. She's an Academy Award nominated actress, the author of multiple books, a mental health and wellness advocate, and embodiment mentor, Mariel Hemingway. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is an absolute honor. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because you have just the most incredible story and so much wisdom to share. And so we'll jump right into it. And the question that I love to start with every guest on the show is, what does it mean to you to live free?
Oh, I love that. Freedom is my favorite word, so this is good. To live free is to be obviously in the present moment. I think you can't be free without being present. You can't be present without being free. Freedom to me is the ability to breathe without hesitation, without hiccups in your breath, without feeling a sense of dread. Freedom is really, it's one of those things that we take for granted, but we often don't realize that we're not living free. I think when you realize that freedom is really the ultimate destination, a place of freedom in the present moment, I think that that's when your life becomes much more fluid and it kind of flows. So I love that you asked that. I'm not very eloquent in my answer, but freedom is such an important aspect. I mean, I think of my personal, the idea of freedom is a hawk flying, and we both live in the very similar area. So the idea of a hawk flying and, on the waves of wind and something like that. And I think that everyone has the opportunity to live in that kind of feeling. Okay, reality hits and stuff happens in your life and we don't feel that, but that when you have had a taste of what just living your life in the moment, in flow, whatever people are calling it these days, that to me is what freedom is.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful.
And being able to have the choice to be in that space, that's also a luxury.
Yeah, totally. And I think, like, to your point, it's that feeling of being able to have space in your breath, of being able to be yourself in a moment where you're not trying to like contract or contort or be something other than what is the present moment. And I know that this has been a really profound journey for you to get to this place. You are somebody who does embody that sense of presence and that sense of freedom in your life, but I know that it wasn't always that way for you. So I'd love to chat a little bit more about how you came to this sense for yourself of being able to be present, of being able to kind of be like that open version of yourself in the moment.
Life's journey always sends you in many different directions. I mean, I've been on a path, a spiritual path, a physical path of trying to find ways to be honest, it was a fight or flight path because I didn't want to be like my family. My family, extraordinary, my grandfather is Ernest Hemingway, one of the greatest writers of the 20th century, if not every century to come. and all that creativity and all that amazing, heritage came with a load of stuff that really wasn't mine, but I believed, based on how I was brought up, I believed that story, that heritage, was something that you almost would inherit, like the flu. Like it's someday you're just going to get it, and you're going to, be depressed, be this, be that. So my journey early on in the first the first 4 decades of my life was really about, like, oh, what diet can I do? What exercise can I do? What path can I take that so that I don't have to end up like my family, so I won't be depressed, I won't drink too much, I won't do things too much, whatever. And that's not judgment of the people that did that. It was just, I thought, oh, how can I survive this without going down their path? And then what I realized is, with all the and I say crazy, they were crazy good in many ways, but the yoga that I did, the many different diets that I tried, the ways of being, and followed spiritual gurus and did primal therapy, and sat in teepees and sweat lodges, and screamed and did all kinds of crazy stuff. But I took a lot out of that. My yoga practice gave me my meditation practice. My meditation practice became a cornerstone of my life, and it was probably one of the very things that got me to realize that it wasn't the outside things that you do, and it wasn't the outside people that you look towards that were ever going to help you. Not that you don't get help from, people that you come across in life, teachers, and there's wisdom in people that we come across in our lives throughout our life, and we take that wisdom, but it's not looking towards somebody and thinking that somebody else has the answer for you. So what my journey has been about is realizing that the inherent knowledge comes from myself. The only person that can heal me, the only person that can guide me, the only person that can be my trainer, my whatever, is me. And when I started to really understand that, it got me from it took me from worrying about the past that had already happened, and fearing the future that hadn't happened yet. And it got me into the present moment. And it was, it's always an ebb and flow, and you're always looking for that balance of, real life hits, and how do I, take a breath and pause and move through life and look at it from the perspective of, I'm here right now, and I get to choose. I get to be my teacher. So,
Yes.
it took a lot of time, but I'm blessed to have had great teachers. But it was when I quit thinking that the teachers had the answers, and I realized that I had the answers. Now, they can be catalysts for you understanding that, and catalysts for you understanding portions of yourself. But ultimately, no one but you knows you.
And that's so powerful. It's something that I stand behind so deeply as well, that like we can have other people that can guide us and show us things that maybe we're missing, but ultimately it's up to us to get that wisdom from within. Like nobody can save you but yourself. The person that we're looking for, the healer, the guru, the teacher, the guide, truly it is within our own souls, like just really coming into a deeper relationship with ourselves.
Well, I mean, and the other side of that is, if we're all connected, then all the teachers are a part of us, right? So then you start to realize that the people that you're talking to in any given moment are part of you, so
Absolutely,
those voices of other people, but that you have to come full circle of realizing that they're separate, until you can realize that you're the power, and then you can reach out and touch the people in your life, realizing that they're a part of you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the way that I see it is like we're all mirrors for each other, the good and the things that we don't love as well. Like we have within us the opportunity to be the highest exaltation of the people we look up to, as well as the people that we are like, I don't want to be like that. Like our relationships allow us to have contrast so that we can see ourselves, see and make that choice for ourselves of like, yes, I want to move towards this, and no, I don't want this so much anymore. And I think with some of the challenges in your family, like you've spoken really openly about like the history of your family, about mental illness and about addiction and those sort of things. So that giving you the reflection of like, maybe not so much of that, but these beautiful things. Like you said, your grandfather is one of the greatest literary minds of the 20th century. Like there is so much beauty and power and legacy in that name as well. So growing up as a Hemingway, I can imagine that you had like this weight on you of like, there's these two polarities that are happening at the same time. Like I'm feeling a type of way behind closed doors that most people don't get to see, but the outside world has a very different image. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that perspective. Like when did it become a point in your life where you said, I don't want this part of the family, but I want to like move towards being my own expression of a Hemingway? Like how did you find your own self, your own voice, and your own freedom in?
Yeah, I think, I think life helps you do that. I think once you get past the fear of thinking that I think you have to do a lot of soul searching. You have to get past feeling that you're not worthy, that you didn't earn something, and realize that your path is uniquely yours in spite of your heritage. Yes, it's a great heritage. Yes, it's wonderful. And hopefully I inherited something, something creative.
You did.
But,
so much.
But once you get past those internal kind of battles that everybody has to go through, you get to a place where you start to understand that we are all uniquely and divinely made to exist in the world that we have created. So yes, we have decided to come here and go and have this experience, but then it's about having that experience and making yourself new again. I think for me, the best part of it is when I let go of letting the heritage, the family name, the whatever, dictate who I am and who I was becoming. When I quit thinking that I needed to be a certain way because that's where I came from, and realized that my journey was uniquely my own. Yes, I have a name. Yeah, and it's been a wonderful it's opened doors, and I've met extraordinary people because I have an incredible last name and a grandfather that is amazing. But when I allowed that to be just almost like icing on the cake, it's like, oh, well, that's exciting. But it enabled me to really dig deep and find my own path. Because I never think of myself as like, I see myself as having my unique journey in this life. And is it impactful? Will it be like my grandfather's? No. But it will be unique to me. And that's exciting. And if I can share that with a few people in my life, or people that I'm working with, I have a group that I work with of women, and if I can have a tiny impact in their life just through my experiences, my ups and downs, whatever, then I'm doing what I should be doing, and then I feel free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it was Maya Angelou that was saying something to Oprah one time. Oprah was like, I want to build this school as my legacy. And it was Maya Angelou who said, you have no idea what your legacy is going to be. And it's in every person that you touch. It's in every life that you have an impact on. So It could
Yes.
very well be that the work that you're doing now, because of the legacy of your grandfather, you're creating your own version of that. I see the way that you are sharing on social media, the work that you do with women, bringing them to that place of like really finding that truth within themselves, their own voice, similarly as you had to find that for yourself of like, who am
Absolutely.
I beyond the conditioning of my family, but also the conditioning of society. Like as women, we have so much pressure put on us of like who we should be, what we should do, how to be the good girl, how to be the good wife. And all of those roles that we assume for ourselves end up compacting on us just so much burden that we don't need to carry. So truly that liberation of like being able to be in the present moment in your breath, like open, comes from removing those layers of all of the versions of us that we thought we needed to be to survive whatever chaos we had in our homes, or even just like survive on the playground. We've all learned these coping mechanisms and adaptive strategies that have cost us parts of ourselves, our voice, like hiding our truth, not wanting to rock the boat, wanting to live up to the name, or wanting to live up to the idea that people have of us, whether or not we have like a big legacy the way you do, or we're regular people who have like a family history. Like we all carry that
Yeah.
generational kind of burden from everybody that came before
It's
us.
not only generational, sometimes it happens from, from 0 to 7. We come up with some sort
Totally.
of idea that we have to, that is a technique, and we learn it and we think this'll help me, and this'll help. And I remember thinking, I was very, very young, thinking, oh, if I become the fixer in the family, I didn't think of it this way, but then I'll save everyone. Everybody will be better. It was something I took on. I'm literally 7 years old, and we do these things, and like you said, and that's exactly what what I talk about on social media and talk about it in the tea circle and with these women, is I talk about the roles that we play because society said that we had to perform a certain way, or we dumbed ourselves down, we got married and life happened, we have kids. None of it bad, but we kept doing survival techniques that we were doing at 7 years old. And then all of a sudden you're 35, 45, 55, and you're still doing them. And
Totally.
it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, wait. And then, for a lot of these women who are more my age, and I'm 63, they're like, oh my God, I'm my age, and my kids are gone, and my husband just left me, or whatever. And I don't know who I am, and I don't know how to be myself, and I'm scared, you know? And
Yes.
it's just about acknowledging the wounds and the trauma, but then realizing, okay, tell the story, but then let's realize it's a story. Let's realize that it came in the past. And
Yes.
then let's find a way, because I think everybody is able to start anew. That's what I was talking about. It's like we're all just like little kids. Because honestly, if that's our inherent nature, is to be curious, to be wide-eyed, to be alive, to be free, to be happy, to be awake. and
Yes. Yeah.
and yet society, and it's not a bad thing, it's just what we do as a collective, tells us, oh well, you're near your, they send you the AARP when you're 50, and you're like, what the, I just, what? I just got, oh my God, they sent me mail. I do not want mail from AARP. That just like says my life is over. But, the truth of the matter, it's just a societal thing. It's like, okay, when we're kids, then we go to college, and then you get married, and then you have your kids, and then you got to have a successful job, and you got to make a lot of money, and then blah, 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 blah. And then your kids go off to college, and then you retire, and then you get sick. And then you spend all the money that you made trying to be not sick. I mean, that's a generalization, but the world is designed to have you follow steps. Get on medication so that you can live, you can whatever, instead of like, why is no one looking at the core problem? And it might have started from a trauma, a legitimate trauma, a painful trauma that happened
Yeah.
in your childhood. But sometimes, and I'm not a doctor here, but sometimes if you dig into the trauma, dig into the story, get right in there, get a little bit uncomfortable and scared to go, oh my God, that happened so long ago. It's time for me to awaken to who I am. And it doesn't matter what age you are. It really doesn't. I really think that I'm 18. And I have to remind myself, like, you're 18.
Just a couple years past 18. Well, no
No,
big
when
deal.
your kids are twice that age.
Well,
You're
you're like, what's
like,
happening
yeah,
here?
they're your
Time is
age.
just a construct. It's not a real thing. But I love what you said. I believe that so deeply too. And a lot of the women that I work with, it's the same thing. They get to a certain age and it's like, oh shit, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want, but I'm realizing that I am not happy. And I have built an entire life, an entire career, sometimes an entire family on this version of me that was 7 years old when I made this assumption. And to your
Yes.
point, like sometimes it is a trauma, like a big trauma, like a big T trauma, I call them, or sometimes it's a small T trauma where we kind of hurt our own feelings in that. And myself, like there was a lot of dysfunction in my family, but one of the things that wasn't like an inflicted trauma, but like a self-imposed trauma was something innocent and simple. When my parents told us that they were going to have a baby, I was like 5.5, I think, and I made it mean like, oh my God, I'm not doing. Why do they need another one? Like, I'm not doing a good job. I must not be enough. Like, what? Am I doing something wrong? And my sister, the exact same experience. We're sitting next to each other. She's elated. She's so excited. She's 2 years older than me, and she's thrilled to have another sibling. I'm making it mean that I'm not good enough. And that carried through my whole life until I realized I went back through this exercise that I take my clients through, the timeline exercise, and I realized I bought this lie. I told myself this story. I hurt my own feelings. I traumatized myself with this idea that I'm not enough. And I can see all of the ways that it has shown up in my life. So you're so right. It's like our conditioning begins before we're even able to be conscious of what we're taking on as roles or what we're assuming about ourselves in the world. And they become the blueprint, the operating system that we view the entire world for until we wake up, until we have a moment of awakening. So I'm curious for you, if there was a specific moment where you were like, no, like I can't do this anymore. I call them sort of these oh shit moments where you're like, oh shit, like something's about to change. Like this isn't working anymore. I can't keep doing this. Was there a particular moment for you where you were like, I'm not going to continue on this way, or I can't continue on this way?
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of times in my marriage. I was married before with the person that I'm supposed to be with now, but I was married for like 24 years, had two amazing children, like, and so many women can say this, probably have this very similar story. And I remember one day just realizing that I had become somebody I just didn't want to be. And yet inside of that marriage, I didn't know how to be me. I knew who I was. I really did. Like underneath, I was like, I'm happy. I'm funny. I'm fun. I'm like all these, and I was not being that. I was being my mother. I was being this. I was, I was juggling. I was handling all these things and whatever. And I was resentful because my husband had gotten sick and I, and and I felt guilty because I was resentful because he was sick, you know what I mean? But he wasn't being nice, but like it was all these things. It was complicated. And I realized I just wasn't the person I wanted to be. And I was like, I am not being me. And I couldn't, in that situation, it was the wrong person for me. I had outgrown that. Not that it was the wrong person in the beginning, whatever, but I had outgrown that life. And I couldn't figure out how to be the person I knew I was. I just couldn't do it in that situation. And that was the moment I went, I remember I was, I think I was sitting on some exercise equipment and I just looked at my ex-husband and I said, I can't do this anymore. You know, like his eyes got big and he was like, oh, I've heard this before, you know, whatever. But it was powerful and it was the beginning. I mean, it wasn't the beginning. I was working towards that. I was looking for self understanding and awareness of myself and all that thing. And it went on for years, but it was the moment I realized that was the piece that needed to change so that I could shift into what I was supposed to do. And I have no regrets because I think every experience leads us to where we end up being, right? So it is what it is. I'm not saying that bad experiences, I wish they hadn't happened, but they did happen and they happened for a reason. And I'm so grateful that I am where I am right now. And it's beautiful. So when we can have self-reflection like that, and when you can have that aha moment, I'm a slow learner, so I probably have 8 million aha moments. I'm like,
Me too.
well,
Me
I
too.
didn't get it the first time, but okay. I
Yeah.
think I got it this time.
Totally. I love that. We have a similar story with that, how sometimes it's just a moment of awakening where you're like, mine was like in the kitchen and I realized not for another second. Like, I cannot do this for another second. And then having to communicate that to the other person that you've committed to building a life with, you're like, there's so much that's wrapped up in it. And I think that's why it takes a while.
And also it's all that conditioning and all that survival, because the survival person was like, we need safety, we need protection, this is good, you're building a life with, blah blah blah, and it looks right. And part of me would like almost wish that I had had a situation where somebody was like hauling off and slapping me in the face once in a while, because I thought, oh, they'd give me the best experience, because I could not figure out like, how do I do it? And it's that moment where you have to communicate what you know, but it feels so overwhelming in that moment. I mean, once you start, it just happens and it kind of, the floodgates, it starts to go, and then you're like, crap, I can't pull back from this now.
Totally. I still remember that feeling in my body because it comes back over and over again every time you're at a threshold that requires you to tell your truth. And I always say it just takes 10 seconds of courage. Like, you get to that point where you're about to make a leap. Sometimes it's investing in something. Sometimes it's telling somebody the truth about something. Sometimes it's saying no to something, where you come up to that point of conditioning where in the past you would have just said, oh no, I'm fine, or oh no, it's okay, or oh no, or you would have said yes to something that you felt contracted about. And that 10 seconds of courage lets you take the leap to let the truth out. And then I don't know if you had this experience, but in my experience, it's instead of feeling like, oh my God, the world's going to collapse, which is what your mind is telling you, the conditioned part is telling you like, this is not safe, abort. Once you get over it and you start, like you said, it's like a relief. It's like I felt my soul literally exhale, and I was like, okay, I'm aligned. Like, I'm now on this new path, and everything is starting to open up for me in a different way. And truly it becomes a new way of life, of like telling the truth and seeing how your life unfolds according to the truth of your soul, really. And allowing it to be a different experience.
It's such a unique and powerful thing that seems simple, and yet we're so ill-equipped to actually address, to do it, to tell the truth. And I don't mean like we're all lying, but we're not like we're not using our voice, the true voice. It's so we don't. And to me, it's just like crazy that we don't teach children how to communicate better. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we teach them all kinds of things that now they don't even know if they're going to get a job anyway. Why don't we teach them how to communicate? I mean,
Totally. Yeah. How to be their authentic selves.
yeah, how to
Yeah.
be truthful and really like and explore their passions. How can we teach them to be unique and allow themselves to flourish as unique individuals? I mean, that's very Pollyanna and like, a dream, but in some ways it's like there has to be a happy medium between that and the way that we've done things for centuries that is clearly showing to not work that well.
Totally. Like, I
But
don't know that it's a
especially
dream. It's
now,
the reality. It's the way it should be. We're kind of in a dream of like pretending to be who we're not so that we can do our checklist and go to
yeah,
college, get a job, get married, buy a house, have some kids. Like, that's the illusion. That's the,
yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and not everybody needs to do that, and that's okay. And to own that you don't want to do that. Own that yeah, guess what? I don't want to get married, or guess what? I don't, or guess what? I'm going right. You can go
Yeah,
left. I don't care. But it's like
exactly.
we don't think it's okay, and we're not taught to. And that's what like I share with these women who really are probably, 50 to 70. And they grew up in a generation where we as women, we were taught to be a certain way, and that you treated your man a certain way, and or in relationship, or your partner, if it was a same sex marriage, but you did things in a way that's how they were taught. It's nobody's fault that we are where we are, but it's just like it's time for us to awaken to a new way of educating ourselves, especially as women. As women, we have the ability, and it's not about being, oh, I'm going to be stronger and more male. It's about, no, you're going to be more feminine and more you.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
that's where our power lies in our intuition. We're different than I love men, but they are different. Like they do
Very
things
different.
different.
Yeah.
You want to solve your problems. You're like, no, don't solve. I don't have anything to solve here. You just need to listen. But it's like that's why we have women friends. It's like that's why we have groups where we can share that collective like overwhelm, that collective, and that collective, laughter at how we can see what's going on around us, and
Yeah.
yet we don't speak about it.
Totally, totally. I love that you said, like, it's not about being harder. And I think that's what a lot of women are assuming. They're like, okay, well, if I'm not happy, then that means I need to just try harder. Like, that's something that I believed for myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't really working for me. I think I need to go to more church. I think I need to be a better wife. I think I need to like try even harder or work even more, because we've grown up to realize that often our value is in what we're able to accomplish. Our worth is in how much we're able to do for others. Like, our appreciation comes from being accommodating and being easygoing and being the one to just take on all of those other things. So we assume if we get to a point in our lives where we're like, this isn't really working, I don't really feel happy, I'm frustrated, or I feel stuck, we go back to that coping mechanism of like, I know I'll just do more. I'll try to be more for other people, and then maybe I'll be able to get what I need. And so we end up overdriving into our masculine, completely disowning the fact that our feminine power, the intuition, the emotion, like our ability to listen, our empathy, those aren't weaknesses that we might have thought they were growing up when we didn't feel safe, but they truly are like our superpowers. And
Yep.
that's how we truly get to express ourselves, when we allow our intuition to lead us to the things that make us feel alive, to the things that we're passionate about. Just naturally, automatically start to express authentically, because we're in our authentic energy. We're not trying to be somebody that we're not. We're not trying to protect ourselves. We know that we can source that power from within, as we were talking about at the outset of this. So my question to you is, what would you say to somebody who maybe has an awakening moment, or what do you say to these women who come to you who are like, Mariel, I don't know how to be me. Like, I don't know what to do with myself now, or I have a truth that I need to express, or everything just fell apart. What do I do now? What do you say to a woman in that situation?
I mean, I think I would ask the question, who is it that you think that you aren't? You know, where have you gone missing? What are the pieces of you that you are missing, that you have quieted? I think you have to find where you've been silent, and not the right kind of silent. I'm not talking about silence in meditation, but you've gone quiet in yourself because the world told you that you should, or whatever. So it's really about, you have to find out where the core is, where the issue is that makes you not trust yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The remembering, and in both senses of the word, like remembering mentally, like, who was I before the world told me who I should be, but also remembering, bringing back those parts, and like the reclamation of who you were. Because I think a lot of people think they need to become somebody else, like, especially as we're approaching the end of the year, the new year, new me idea of like, oh, I know I'm going to just do everything different. I'm going to be a different version of myself. But really, I think what we're all deeply looking for, and what I mean by the live free lifestyle, is that you get to live free as your true authentic self. So it's coming back around to like who you were, who you truly are. If you remove the roles, if you remove the masks, if you remove all of the things, I love how you said, who do you think you're not? Like all of those things in our mind that I'm like, I'm not this enough, I'm not that, I'm not da 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 da.
Yeah.
And we can like make a list because we compare ourselves to other people, or we compare ourselves to who we think we need to be for XYZ to occur. So yeah, truly it is like a reclamation process to bring all parts of us back online.
You said it perfectly, and I say this all the time. I was like, are you reading my post? I was like, wow.
We literally have the same like work.
I got a shit curious. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But it's true. It is a remembering. We're already there. Here's the thing. Not one woman out there doesn't have the true version of herself already inside her. Here's the thing. You don't have to look for her. She's not there. She's not over there. She's not up there. She's not behind you. She's in you. And she's always been there. And she's just waiting for you to acknowledge her. Mm-hmm. This survival version of you has had the stage for far too long. She's been, and God bless her. Thank you. Thank you so much for getting me here. Thank you so much for your protection. But guess what? You need to, first of all, you're exhausted. You need a rest. And this version of yourself is already within you. So I do this thing called Rise to Remember. It's so funny that you say it. It's a 3-hour thing that I do on a Saturday with women so that they can remember the person that they already are. Mm-hmm. But you have to define who you are in the moment, and you have to be honest about that. Where are you leaving yourself spoken, unseen? Where do you not feel supported? Do you have to ask these questions, and there's no grading. I'm not saying you're bad, because it's just like it's 0 to 10, and we do a self-assessment wheel to find out where you are in the moment, where you are today. And it can be, and a lot of them, are 1s and 2s, and you know what I mean? And yet inner peace feels like it's a 10. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It just says, okay, that's where you are now. That's the person that you are now. The survivor She's done a great job. God bless her. We love her. We honor her. And then you get to meet the person. We call her the woman on the island. And she's on an island and she's just waiting. And you go and you meet her on the island. It's your island. And you meet her. She speaks to you and you speak to her. And it's amazing because you see the person that you are. And then, you write about it, whatever. And then the final thing is this, it's a reunion. It's where the two of you come together and you actually kind of, you as the observer is watching as these two merge and she's always been there, but you've never given her permission to take over because, the survival you was, she had to survive. She just didn't know that the job was done 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That it was a moment. It was just a moment of feeling and a story you made up, and that it's not actually real and true. Like, it doesn't say who you are.
The irony is we make up these stories, like you said, or these survival techniques based on a very limited view of the world. We see our world because we only see the world of mom and dad who love us, and they could be whatever, they can have all their issues, but we don't see those. We love them in spite of what they do,
and we depend on them entirely.
And so you want to help them be the best for you and for everybody else because you love all those people too. So it's crazy, but then we lock into that job. I've got this job. It's just like you said. It's like I was 5, and I better, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough.
I better work harder. I got to be different. I got to figure this out. Yeah.
And the other funny thing that I think about this whole journey, and I say it's funny only because the old pattern will rear its head like period. Oh yes,
and disappear
once in a while, maybe once a month, and you're like, I recognize you.
Yeah,
it's okay. You can still rest.
Exactly. Nope, still on a timeout.
Kick into gear.
Yeah, totally. But it only comes with awareness. Like, you can only differentiate those two parts of yourself. And so I love that the woman on the island and the protector part, the way you can differentiate those aspects of yourself. I call it your ego and your soul. And your soul is like the part of you that is the infinite aspect, the divine nature that knows that everything is okay, that is here for the experience, the expansion and the expression of the physicality of being human. And then there's the part of you that's like, well, I got to stay alive as a human. So there's that part that needs to work together. And when you bridge those two together, and it's Gary Zukav that says in his book, The Seat of the Soul, when the personality or the ego comes to serve the soul, that's when you have authentic power, because you're able to express yourself, but in this really powerful way that is emboldened by purpose, that is trusting herself fully, that knows that when you continue to tune into that quiet voice of stillness in you, you will be led along a path that is meant to blow your freaking mind. The relationships that you're meant to have. You said, I'm with the person I was supposed to be with, but but we have to go sometimes on a journey to discover who we're not, what we don't want, or what's not us, so that we can really fully be in authentic relationship with who and what we're truly meant to be in. So my second last question to you is, what role do you feel relationships play in our healing and our growth journey?
First of all, relationships are everything. Everything. First is the relationship with yourself, the most important relationship. And it is a relationship. It's just like the woman on the island versus that's a relationship. The relationship that you have with the person that you are in the morning versus the person you are midday, end of day, by the evening. We have to negotiate the relationships of ourselves, and then we negotiate the relationships in our lives, right? Our friendships, of course, and our love, our intimate relationships are so profound at teaching us, patience And awareness, and also acknowledging when we're frustrated in those relationships or we're angry in those relationships, but also knowing that if you're in a healthy relationship, you can be angry, you can have moments, but you also know that you're not abandoned, right? For a long time, I was so scared in the relationship that I'm in now because I wasn't used to feeling safe.
Yeah.
So when, we would, Bob, when we would get in a fight or he was like so intense and I was terrified. Oh, he's going to leave. Is this, is that, it's all these things. And it took me a while to realize, oh, wait, that relationship, that's a trusting relationship. And I've created that through, and both of us have created that through looking at each other and just being truly truthful and having hard conversations. I think that that's one of the most important things that you do in a relationship is you have difficult conversations sometimes.
Yeah.
And they are difficult, but I realize not having them is what I did in a marriage for 24 years. I didn't have the difficult conversations until they were exploding and making a mess all over the place, right? But then I
Yeah.
was having a conversation about what it wasn't about, So
Yeah.
it's those, I think relationship is just, it's our best teacher. But it's also a relationship with nature. It's also a relationship with your pets, and I don't know, it's like relationship is where we learn. It's our interaction with everything around us
Yeah.
that teaches us
Totally.
who and how to be.
I love that. I love that. So the thing that you said about having hard conversations with your intimate partnerships, I think is just the same validity of having those hard conversations with yourself. And I remember you had said something earlier about like being honest with yourself. Sometimes that is the hardest conversation that you have to have. It's like, I can see that I am buying my own bullshit right now, or I can see that I am like doing the same thing, song and dance over and over again. But I love that. And to the point of like the reflection and the mirror that we have in our relationships and our like ability to grow with them, we are ready for the type of relationship that we're ready for when we meet ourselves. Like same as you, it was like in my marriage, I was like, everything's fine. No, everything's fine. Everything's great. No, I'm easygoing. I'm happy. I mean, I would have like explosions every once in a while because you can't contain like that amount of control.
That inauthentic, yeah.
Exactly. It like leaches out in like the weirdest, ugliest ways sometimes. But when you can be honest with yourself and you can start practicing and cultivating that relationship with your soul, then that's when your soulmate relationships come in. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. It means like, I know how to have hard conversations with myself. I can now bring these hard conversations to create an even deeper sense of connection and like love and experience myself and this other person at the same time and like just have a really beautiful thing. And I think it's so fascinating to see you and Bobby together and the way that you guys interact, because it does feel like it's just an authentic relationship where it's not like pretending or hiding. It's just like we are who we are and we love each other and we work at life together. Yeah, but that's it.
Messy. We all kind of messy. Oh my God.
We are all kinds of messy. But even like you were saying, the relationship that you have with yourself in the morning, that lunch, and like at the end of the day, like you can see how that plays out inner and outer in our relationship. So I love that so much. Thanks for sharing a little bit of that. And then the final thing that I wanted to kind of land on is you have used so much of your life, so much of the challenges that you witnessed as a child, like through your family history, through like everything that you've been through, you've used some of the most painful and challenging parts to not only heal yourself, but bring that healing for others. Like all of the things that you've learned to be able to like let go of those survivor parts or those protective parts. You've really come into this place of truly embodying Mariel Hemingway in her own right. And so my question is, what would you say to somebody who feels like they have a lot of challenges or they've gone through a lot in their life and they're like, I don't know how to take this mess and turn it into a message. I don't know how to kind of allow my pain to be purposeful. Is there anything that you would share with somebody who feels like maybe I'm too far gone, or maybe I've just like struggled or suffered too much?
Nobody's, I mean, I think that you have, I think I've told my story so many times that it really has become a story. It took a long time, but I can tell certain stories about my life and I will learn something new every time. So there's that. It's owning and taking responsibility for everything that has happened in your life. That's key. One thing that you have to do is you have to quit blaming somebody else for anything that ever happened. Anything. And I know that sounds crazy to the person that has been, massively abused or whatever. What I'm saying is it's not your fault, but what I'm saying is you take responsibility for what happened, in the sense that once you own it, then you can leave it. And once you leave it, then you can turn it into some purpose, because you've shifted the victim or whatever it is that you came from into something purposeful. You can share, I was this. That was me. That's how I felt. I felt no courage. I feel like there's too much going on. But once you own that, okay, it happened. Those things happen. I take responsibility for the fact that they did happen. I'm not responsible, perhaps, but I can say, yes, that was my life. But is that my life today? And once you can remove yourself from the past, again, it's just like I started. Once you can bring yourself to the present moment, and it's a journey all the time. I'm not saying I'm constantly present and I'm awake and I'm, because I'm not. But I know how to get myself there.
Yes.
And I know how to laugh about the pain that has happened in my family and my life. I'm not laughing at it. I'm laughing that, oh my God, look at us human beings. We're such survivors. We managed to get ourselves through hell. And we do. And we will survive. There's, God gives us, and I'm not saying that in a religious context, but God gives us only what we can handle. And believe it or not, we can handle. And sometimes I think, oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
More?
Yeah.
But then you get through it, and then there's some growth that happens. There's some awareness that, oh my God. And when you get through things, when you truly have got it, like it's cellularly in you, that's when you can shift it and have it become purpose. Because that's when you can share it. That's when you can say, hey, look at this. I made it through. I bet you can, because I see you. Here's the thing, and I know you know this because you have clients and you talk to them. I know that you see their, the great thing about working with these women that I'm working with, and I'm not working with them, that I'm hearing, is that I see their beauty, I see their strength, and I see their power. Every time it's like I can see, I'm like, holy crap, I can see it.
Yeah.
I get
because you know what it takes to go through that. Like, what it takes for them to be where they're at.
And it's not like when I say you have to take responsibility, that's not a judgment. It's not saying that you need to take responsibility for somebody who did something horrific.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you take responsibility for how you feel, how you got through it, and how you survived.
Yes, that is so powerful. I think it was Gabor Mate that I heard say that you are not responsible for how you were hurt, but you are responsible for how you heal from that hurt. Because otherwise, it's always giving your power to somebody else, to something that happened. And so if you can separate it from like, this is an experience that I had, it's not who I am, then it becomes something that you have a bit of perspective to look at and to see and to say like, okay, if this is not who I am and this is something that I went through, who I am is stronger and more powerful than what I went through. And then you can cultivate that power by seeing it as a story, like you said, to be able to be like, oh my God, us humans, like we go through the craziest shit. Like, so we're all just operating on survival until there's a generational curse breaker that is like, no more. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm done, complete. And Mariel, I know that you have been that for so many women, the way that you show up, the way that you embody all 4 of those qualities, and the way that you continue to show people that no matter like what you think you need to be or what you've learned to be, you have something in you that is like purely meant to be expressed in the most authentic way. And it is magic. It's absolutely magic. So thank you so much for being on the Live Free Lifestyle podcast. And to those who are listening, if you loved this episode or you know somebody who would love to hear this episode or would resonate with them, please go ahead and share and let us know your thoughts, your takeaways in the comments or in the reviews. Thank you again, Mariel, for being here. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.